Do you ever ask questions to your future self? Or do you ever ask questions of your future self? Another way of looking at this is, does your future self ask questions of you? In this video, I'm going to share my slides. I have 8 questions for your future self. And these questions, if you can use them and clarify them, it will clarify your future self so much. And there's a lot of research on this subject that the clearer and the more vivid, researchers actually call it vividness, the more clear and concrete you can get about your future self, the better the decisions you can make right now. And also the emotional connection you have to your future self. There's also research, and this comes from positive psychology, neuroscience, but also even way back in the day from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, where he talks a lot about how Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, he was in the concentration camps. And one of the things he said is, if you have a why to live for, you can bear almost any how. What he meant by that is, if you have a clear and compelling goal that you're stretching towards, which you're clear on, you can be purposeful in the moment. If you're clear on your future, you can avoid a lot of the distractions and pitfalls in the present, but also you can endure any challenge in the present. There's a lot of research even from Angela Duckworth on grit. And she talks about how your ability to be gritty in the present, meaning to overcome adversity, challenge, to be focused, to be committed, is based in large part on your hope and commitment to your future. And hope in psychology is a very powerful thing. It's being committed to a specific goal, and it's being able to learn and adapt and adjust all along the way, your pathways, your strategies to getting there. So in this video, I'm going to give you 8 prompts, 8 questions, and you can use your journal if you want. I think that it's so powerful to pause this along the way and ask these questions of your future self. And this will help you to become more vivid, but it's also very practical about how you can apply certain processes to start becoming your future self now. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm just going to quickly walk you through these questions. You can pause it and use this as much time as you want to answering these questions. So question number 1 is, what are the key experiences do you want to have before you die? So this is a really good question, because as people, we live in experiences. And also, when it comes to visualizing and thinking about and imagining your future, it's a lot easier to think in terms of concrete, specific experiences. If you study visualization, over 80% of Olympics athletes visualize literally every morning and night. And so visualization is really powerful. The better you get at visualizing, and it's a skill that very few people adopt or develop, just like journaling. We can develop skills in these abilities if we actually work on it. But you gotta start as a novice. Maybe just start by visualizing 1 minute a day. And so this is something you can definitely visualize, is what are the experiences you want to have before you die, which you feel are absolutely crucial and important, but also things which would be fun. This could be bucket list items. Let me give an example for me. Like, I have 6 kids. And so some of the experiences I want to have is attending all of my kids' weddings, holding grandchildren, but also it could be fun things. Like, one of the experiences that my 15-year-old son wants to have is he wants to do a safari in Africa, right? And so that doesn't have to be before he dies. That could be really soon. And I have other questions, but there's a great quote that's always stood out to me, that the people who live the best lives are the ones who have the most powerful, meaningful experiences. And your life is really about the experiences you have. So Dr. Abraham Maslow, he's the one who created the hierarchy of self-actualization. And one of the things he says is that peak experiences are what lead to self-actualization. Peak experiences are moments of awe, transformation, learning. And you can have profound peak experiences through honest self-reflection of your past, being honest and transforming traumas into post-traumatic growth, learning, gratitude, and purpose. But also you can have meaningful, powerful experiences in the big picture, experiences that you're building up towards. For example, maybe running a marathon. You could visualize yourself doing that at a certain time, finishing, writing a book, becoming whatever it is, whatever your aspirations are, whatever the experiences that you deem as valuable and worthy. And so I just might invite you to make a list of the most powerful, most important experiences that you personally want to have. And one thing that's key about this is that this is between you and yourself. You are living your own life, and what you want and the experiences you want to have and the things that you value. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about those. Only you can live your own life. And there's a concept in psychology called the looking glass self. And the looking glass self is the idea of people thinking they're in a fishbowl and that they're the fish and everyone's looking at them. And the truth is, everyone else is looking at themselves. Everyone else is thinking about their own lives. They're not thinking about you that much. And so you get to decide how you want to live without fear or consequence, and just accepting that your own opinion of yourself and your own decisions for yourself matter more than other people's opinions of you or the decisions that other people would have for you. So what are the experiences you want to have, irrespective of what anyone else thinks? Just journal on those. But also, the more vivid you make this, the better you'll be. And so you can genuinely imagine yourself having that experience, seeing it, There's a great quote actually from Neville Goddard. He said, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And so as you're meditating, visualizing your experience, and this is something that actually Dr. Joe Dispenza has talked about a lot as well, is feel gratitude for the experience while it's happening. So imagine yourself having some of those powerful experiences, and you want to have positive emotional signatures on those future-based memories that you're creating. Because gratitude is usually retrospective. It's usually towards the past. But if you're in the future and you're grateful for having the experience, then you're starting to actually transform your brain such that you're going to start creating and being that and having it now. So just making a list of the most important key experiences you want to have before you die, and being audacious, being bold. You really only do have this one life. I mean, I believe in a pre-earth life, and I like a life before this. And I actually believe in I believe in infinite and eternity. But in terms of this life, like, this is it. You've got to choose it for yourself. What do you value? What do you want to do? What experiences do you want to have in the next 12 months? So this could be, you could be thinking in terms of 2023. I was amazed at some of the things my wife and I did last year in 2022. We went to Europe for 6 weeks. I was able to see the David statue. We spent 2.5 weeks in Italy. We went to Paris, London. We did a lot of amazing things. And if you start to be bold and proactive and committed, you can start to have profound, amazing experiences. Even this year, a lot of it's just about making the commitment, signing up. You could sign up for an ultra marathon, an Ironman. You could go to a different country. You could go to a Michelin star restaurant, whatever you want to do. You could publish a book, again, whatever you want to do. But I just want you to list, what are the profound key experiences you want to have in 2023 or in the next 12 months? Be bold, have a big year. A great book on this subject is actually called The Happiness of Pursuit by Chris Guillebeau. And he just talks about creating powerful experiences and also going for quests. That'll fit more into some of my next questions on my next slide. I have one more slide as well. This first slide is all about experiences. The next slide is about a different topic for your future self. Next question is, what experiences do you want to create in the next 90 days? A book I love on this subject is called The 12-Week Year. It's all about approaching 90-day periods of time, a quarter, as a year. And so if you were to approach the next 90 days as if it was the full year of 2023, what experiences could you have? What experiences could you create? This could be intimate experiences with loved ones. It could be just simple moments, but it could also be big moments. You get to decide how you're going to live. What experiences do you want to create in the next 7 days? I challenge you to approach the next 7 days as if it was a month or a year. What could you actually do, realize, experience, and have moments of awe, moments of connection, maybe doing something really cool out of the blue. And then what experiences do you want to create today? Like today you have today. What experiences are you going to create today? Being bold, having focus, being in flow, doing something special, doing something amazing, doing something out of the ordinary, telling someone you love them, having a really important conversation. What experiences do you want to create today so that at the end of the day, when you're looking back, you're absolutely blown away that you lived maybe as much life today as many people do in a year because you were being courageous. I think there's a quote from Jean Rousseau. He says that the person who has lived the most is not the person who has had the most years, but the person who has had the most amazing experiences. And so you could actually live more just today with commitment, courage, openness, vulnerability than many people live in a decade. You can live all that in a day because time psychologically is nonlinear. Time is, and even relativity. You can experience more in a day of true growth, commitment, purpose than maybe you did in all of last year combined. Next set of questions. What projects do you want to do that will change your life? So when you start looking at people who have lived really brilliant lives, they did it in the form of projects. Think in terms of, for example, I love Michelangelo, back to the idea of the David, like he did projects that changed his life. Think about the David, for example, or the Sistine Chapel. He underwent projects. You can approach your life and your goals like a project. As an example, like I had a project of writing and completing this book with Dan Sullivan. I'm getting ready to undergo bigger projects. I love the idea that rather than going from paycheck to paycheck, you eventually go from project to project and adventure to adventure. What is the project that you're not ready for right now? Like it's a massive project. It could be building a huge temple, right? It could be writing a book, starting a business. It could be becoming a millionaire, right? It could be traveling the world with your kids. I don't know, but what project will change your life? And right now it's way above you. Actually, Dan Sullivan has a really great model, the 4 C's, and he talks about how you first commit. You have to first commit. And then that commitment leads to courage, and the courage leads to the development of new capabilities and eventually new confidence. And so back to Michelangelo, when he started the David, that was a 3-year project he did from 1501 to 1504. When he started that project, he was nowhere near the sculptor he became over those 3 years. The project fundamentally transformed him. And so what projects, if completed, will enable you to become your desired future self? So for me, as an example, The projects I'm thinking about right now is I've done a trilogy, right? I did a trilogy with Dan Sullivan. He's the #1 entrepreneurial coach in the world. I'm now, I'm looking at bigger and bigger projects. And so rather than doing one book of collaborations, I'm looking for doing a trilogy, whether it be with him or with someone else. Trilogy is a big project, and setting it up in a way that it 10x's my life in terms of my skill as a writer, my thinking. It's going to stretch me in insane ways. The great part about projects is they're transformational. And this is, by the way, the most powerful way that certain teachers teach students. Most of public education is based on learning theory and being tested, but schools like Montessori and stuff, they do what's called project-based learning, where you're actually doing a project. It could be creating a pot or creating a website or going out and selling muffins door to door. Like, it's tangible learning through doing and ultimately creating something that is tangible in the world. What projects are now possible, which would have been impossible to even imagine for your future self? So this would be like thinking back on your past self, who you were a year ago or 3 or 5 years ago. What projects are you now imagining that are now possible to you, which would have been fundamentally impossible to your past self, but which are now possible to you and your future self? That just allows you to see how much you've grown and transformed. Please answer these questions. Take the time to get vivid about your future self, imagine these experiences, but also think about projects and engage and start projects. And then actually one more thing is a concept I learned from Richie Norton. He wrote a book called Anti-Time Management. And he talks about a project, Anti-Time Management, by the way, is a brilliant book. He talks about a concept called project stacking, where you stack meaningful projects together. So one could be that you're really trying to, walk 10,000 steps a day, but you could then also combine that with travel and walking, through 10 cities this year, right? That's project stacking. For me, one of mine is launching 2 books this year, but also growing this YouTube channel by 10x. Those projects stack together. So what are the projects you want to stack? My name is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Please like this video, please subscribe, and have an amazing day.